Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Friday night phone-in here on the Rangers Rabble. I'm your host, Craig, for this evening, and I'm joined by the big dogs tonight. Firstly, Mark, how you doing, mate?
I'm not too shabby, mate. How's yourself? You good?
Yeah, good,
Been a
mate.
wee while.
It's been a little while since we've been on together, so looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And joined by Scott Kerr as well. Scott, how you doing?
I'm not bad, Craig. Not bad. Looking forward to this tonight. I feel like I've been on the pod for a while, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think saying to the guys before that it's been only a couple of weeks, but it does feel like the longest couple of weeks since we've been on a pod. Thank you to Cammy, gifting a Rangers Rabble podcast membership. We're live tonight on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. In a minute, Martin, our lovely producer, will be opening the phone lines, so we'll be able to get your calls in. Before we go into that, guys, a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Mainly around the manager's press conference today, which I listened to a bit earlier, and I'll be honest, I was pretty impressed by what he was saying, saying all the right things. But I know we've been in that position before a couple of times. Mark, I'll come to you first. One thing he did bring up was that he's seen in obviously the few days he's been in the job, he's seen some things that he likes, but also some things that he doesn't like, and also doesn't expect tomorrow's game to be the perfect performance. What do you think we can expect from Philippe Clement in his maybe first 4 or 5 games up until the semi-final?
Yeah, I think he's not been in long enough to make any sort of a big difference. I think that he's kind of took a steady approach to the game. He's not promised miracles, which if you look at some of our fan base, I think they'll be thinking there is going to be some sort of miracle happening tomorrow. But no, I think he's very level-headed. I think he talks sense. I think that if anybody thinks that he's going to come in and set the head of the light in his first game after 6 days being in charge, he's probably only had two days if he's lucky with most of the players. So I think that he's trying to temper expectations a wee bit, and I think that squad wise and starting 11 wise, I think it's going to be pretty similar to what we've been seeing and what we're used to. I think that for me, I think that the only thing that it can change and hopefully it will change is the desire of the team, the fighting desire, because it's been non-existent, especially under Beale. So it's just eroded over the course of this season, probably towards the end of last season as well. So I think a kind of balanced view of what he's going to do. I think he's kind of trying to be a kind of level-headed, sorry, and I think he's kind of trying to prepare us for the fact that it's not going to be pretty. Hopefully, it's a win, and hopefully we can see a bit more desire. That really is all you can ask for after 6 days.
Thank you. Yeah, Kerr, before I come on to you, obviously see at the bottom there, guys. If you do want to have your say, 0141 628 7237, you'll get through to our lovely producer in the background, and he'll get you through to have your say with the guys. Scott, what were your thoughts and feelings on the press conference today?
Listen, the manager's sounding really positive at times. He's saying the right things, but listen, the press conference doesn't get you 3 points. But he's come in, he's not had long to see the players. Obviously, he'll know by probably come Christmas time, January time, who he can rely on, who he can't rely on. But this isn't a quick fix. We just want something to, first of all, change the mentality and get us going forward. So I just feel it's going to take time, which I know that's hard to hear, but it is going to take time because some of these players, they just can't say, I don't want you, especially now injury issues, and he can't get out and buy anybody, so he's going to have to get them all inside. See who he can get the best out of, but they will come like January window time. He'll probably say, I don't fancy him. But because of the last window there, some of these guys we maybe can't get rid of just because they're on long contracts and they're on a good wage, and some players won't want to leave with the wage you're on. So it's just time will tell, but I'm liking he's experienced. He seems to know what he's going to do, whereas with Beale and even Gio at times, you kind of struggled at times with press conferences and Beale spoke too much, Joe not enough. I'm not saying you have to speak, but he seems more reassured about stuff, and listen, he's experienced, he's seen a lot in his career. He played at a high level, he's managed at a high level, and I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, it's going to take time, but he knows himself just to get his point in the right direction and moving forward bit by bit. Until he can maybe reassess the squad and bring one or two others in, it's just a case of trying to get these players, like Mark said earlier, but a desire back in the team and try to get a mentality changed and try to maybe say to these lads, you're better than actually what you think and you should be winning these games, and the confidence getting up as well, because sometimes we're beat, I think, as soon as we make a bad pass because the players all heads go down. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, Craig. I'm looking forward to him starting his reign because we've been through this before, and I think the last couple of managers got us a lot of talking really quickly, and now we're kind of sitting waiting to see what happens because we've had that many managers in the last couple of years. Well, I know we've had two, but since Steven Gerrard's been here, there's not been a lot happening. It's been great. So I'm looking forward to his reign because I think he's slightly different from what we've had before, and he's got that desire, and he also seems to have a bit of presence and respect for people, whereas the Steven Gerrard had it obviously because of who he was, but I think this guy's got it because of what he's done in his career as well, whereas Beale and Gio, to me, never had that.
Yeah, thank you. There was a comment that came up from someone around the disconnect between the fans and the players, Mark. That was something the manager actually mentioned in his press conference around looking to rebuild that, not necessarily between the fans and the club, because I think that relationship is always there. But do you think that's something that has been missing for a little while?
Performances is the only way you get. Performances are the only way you're going to get that back. I think that the disconnect, is it a disconnect or is it just disgruntled? I think that the fans have just let the players know that they're not happy with their performance, they're not happy with their standards, they're not happy with their desire during the game. So I mean, is there a disconnect? I think that that's probably a wee bit strong. I think that us as Rangers fans were very, very fickle. I think two or three good performances and a couple of goals for the ones that's been getting dogs abuse and all's forgotten, isn't it? So it's for me, it's not so much of a disconnect. I get what he's trying to say. I understand what he means by that. I think that he knows how powerful Rangers fans and this crowd can be at Ibrox when they're behind their team. So I mean, it's the old cliche is it's like the 12th man, and it really is. You can see players that have got a yard or half a yard extra pace. They try harder. They fly into tackles better when the crowd's up, and so I think that I understand what he was meaning by that. I don't know if there's particularly a disconnect as such. I think it was more the fans showing their unhappiness towards the players. You know yourself, there's not a Rangers fan out there that doesn't love this club and doesn't love and want to see every single one of these players do well. So for me, I think, as I said, I understand what it was getting at, but for me, I don't think there's that big a disconnect. I just think that we need to see effort first and foremost, and that's, I think, it's an absolute must for a Rangers side.
Thank you. Thank you to Charles for the super chat, £5. Thank you very much. The new boss saying right things and take time to get behind the new boss. Not like Beale, who talked that much crap. Andrex have opened another factory. Scott, I think one thing the manager did, I think we'll delve slightly into the preview for the Hibs game. One thing the manager did talk about when he talked about players being available and unavailable was he likes to be quite hands-on with the medical side, which I don't think we've really had for a little while. What were your thoughts on that?
I didn't hear the press conference because I wasn't along for my work. Listen, if he's got to be more involved on that side of it, that's great. But he's not medically trained, so he's not going to probably be able to help out that side. But just getting to know how long his players are going to be out for and who's ready, who can rely on, stuff like that is great. Listen, I just think he has to go in a different direction what we've been going on. But I think he will. I think he'll, like I said earlier, he'll get more respect for the players. And I think by Christmas time, New Year, You'll know the players he can rely on. He'll know the players he can push forward, especially for next season. You'll know the players they can't rely on, and it's good. But there's some of these guys who I know, Mark knows, even Mark behind the scenes knows that we all think should be thrown out of the team, but that's not going to happen straight away. But down the line, you just don't know what's going to happen. But I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. But as you know, we press questions with the media. The media's questions are a joke at times. Some of the questions they ask shouldn't even be asked. So I think he done really well for what I heard and what I've seen when he first arrived. And the media just like to sell papers, Craig, and like to sell clickbait stories and social media. That's all. That's all. Some of the questions don't even relate to us; they just relate to nonsense. To be honest with you, but no, it's. Somebody asked me a question on the chat about Cantwell, and listen, Todd Cantwell's went through a lot as a young lad. He came through full of potential. He was getting linked with big clubs down south. He was doing really well with Norwich. He was playing in England, set up, and then I'm not saying he fell off a cliff, but something must have happened in his life that took him a different direction, and he was getting. We all know who I'm talking about, but he was getting told, and a few managers didn't really rate him. I think that was the case. He went out of Bournemouth and done okay, but he was having issues, mental health issues. He even said that himself, and I think it took him a while to come back. He was thinking about maybe coming back to play football, thinking about going a different direction until kind of we come in for him. So I think even players like Cantwell, you can see what we've done to him, and we've helped him look forward in his life. We've helped him set his setback in football because he has a lot of potential still. He is a very good player. He's come in and he's done really well. There's a lot more Todd can give. But I think the Scottish media in general, they just seem to as soon as somebody comes in that does anything they don't like or it does something that's good, but they want to make something out of it, don't they? They want to kind of knock somebody down, dig through their closet to see what skeletons they've got, and then you've got other sports journalists, ex-players digging deeper, which isn't great, but it's what we live in. If it's not going to happen to Todd Cantwell, it could happen to anybody. It could happen to you, me, and Mark if we get famous at all, or no, you don't have to be famous. Probably happened to Mark before, know what I mean? So we just don't know. I mean, I've had it in the past myself with the media. It's no great, but I think as a club we're moving in the right direction. And I know Bisgrove and Bennett's had their faults, but I'm going to say I'm actually quite happy with what we've done bringing in somebody like Clement. I think it's a good move. I think they could have went to an easy option and get somebody else in. We all spoke about other names, but I think they've done really well getting this guy because you can look at he failed at Monaco. Did they really? I mean, Monaco's a hard club to manage. He's done okay to a point. I've heard the French guy saying, but he did fail at some things, but he'd done really well in Belgium, and I think he's got a lot of experience. He's the kind of guy we need to move this club forward, especially football-wise.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger link between the Belgium side more than the Monaco side. Guys, we want your calls to get your point across to Mark, me, and Scott to 0141 628 7237. We're going to sit here all night, but we will get some calls in. And I'm sure Martin in the background is itching to speak to someone on the phone and basically get them through to us. Mark, the manager did talk about obviously around some of the stupid questions he was asked. He did talk around the players that will be available tomorrow, sort of Cantwell, Jack, possibly Danilo. The injury list has been a massive issue this season. But what do you sort of foresee if any changes are made for the team tomorrow?
Yes, I mean, obviously it's good to see players starting to come back. I think Cantwell's been a massive miss. I think he's a very, very talented footballer. For me as well, Danilo I think's a big one as well. I think Danilo, anytime I've seen him, he's looked really sharp. He's looked a lot sharper than Dessers. And I would like to see him. I would like to see him getting straight back in there. I don't know if he's going to risk him. I don't know whether he can alluded to the fact that we're going to need him. I think he said that Roof's not got a full game in him. I think he said Cantwell's not got a full game in him as well. So I think we're struggling up front for numbers. I can't see him because I think that Alex Ray and Stephen Davis are going to help him with the team selection and kind of guide him a wee bit until he's got his feet more under the door. So I can't see massive changes. unless he presses upon a formation change or something different, which it may well do. We just don't know. As I said, at this point, we're kind of guessing because it is going to be his first game in charge. But I don't foresee lots and lots of changes to this side for the last game. I think that I think he's going to play it steady. I think he's going to play it a bit cagey, but it's good to see players coming back. I've seen in the social media and stuff like that, and the Rangers website that Dill also back in training and looking quite fit as well, and seen him running a bit at pace and stuff like that. So there's another option as well at centre of the park. Big misses for me, Tom Lawrence. I think that Tom Lawrence is got the potential to be a main player for us as well. So I don't foresee lots and lots of changes. I think it will be very same. I just hope that the desire will be different. I hope that the kind of pace that they move at will be different, and the desire will be a lot better. I'm hoping that this is what he's worked on rather than any sort of a formation change or any sort of a patterns of passing or patterns of play. I'm just hoping that it's tempo he's worked on and kind of pressing and desire. For me, that's what we've lacked. Also, in fact, we've probably lacked that for nearly 2 seasons now. So for me, I hope that's what he's worked on. Time's going to tell. 3:00 3:00 tomorrow. We'll find out.
Brilliant. We got Chris waiting on the phone. Chris, welcome to the Rangers Rabble. What's your point for the chaps?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, mate.
Hello?
How's it going? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, not bad myself. Yeah, it's just 2 points really. One point in regards to I heard Neil Lennon speak on PLZ Soccer about the overall fitness of the squad, and I've heard another couple of podcasts mention about the fitness of the squad. I'm just wondering if you think there's something in that. Also, in regards to, I see a lot of social media comments about Clement's record at Monaco. He's actually got a better win percentage. His overall win percentage is 51.3%. Claude Puel's Monaco was 49%, and Didier Deschamps was 50%. So he's got a better win record than the two of them, and he seems to be getting a lot of stick on social media for his Monaco record, which isn't really that bad when you think about it.
No, that's a brilliant point. Thank you, Chris. Kerr, I'll bring that one to you on the manager's sort of the manager's record at Monaco, and also the general fitness of the squad.
Listen, some of the squad don't look fit at all this season, and I think we've all mentioned at times, not all players, but some of them look like they're pulling a caravan at times up and down that pitch. But that's something that under Steven Gerrard, the squad are always fit. I know we didn't win a lot, but the squad are always fit. We fought for 90 minutes or more because the players were well drilled with their fitness. So hopefully that can come back. Like I said earlier about his record with Monaco, I spoke about it. I mean, you can look at any manager out there. It's been at different clubs. If not everybody's successful at other clubs they manage. So he's not the only one who's not been successful at Monaco or anywhere else. But as a percentage stats, I mean, Michael Beale's got a great percentage for the Rangers manager, has a win rate, hasn't he? But you know how successful he was. So I take that with a pinch of salt. Listen, see, we come to Rangers and wins this stuff, I'll be more than happy. So quite have done it in Monaco. It doesn't bother me. He's won a couple of leagues in Belgium with a couple of different sides. Won it with one team's hard, but won it with a couple of teams in the same league, that's very hard. So listen, I'm happy but he's coming through the door, and I'm looking forward to see what it brings us.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris, anything else you wanted to bring to the chaps? Anything for Mark?
Yeah, just one more point in regards to Clement. Did anyone hear his press conference where he cut across the journalist? The journalist was saying about what you got to win in the short to medium term. He cut across the journalist and said, I want to win everything. I quite like that because he just cut the journalist off and basically said, I want to win everything. I was wondering what you guys thought of that.
Mark, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of. He's got confidence in his own ability. I really like that. I like that in a manager. I like that sort of a strength of character. I think that he's not going to be a big cuddly bear. He's going to shoot for the hip, and he seems like a straight talker, which is good. Somebody in the chats mentioned about you can't judge a manager on 2 press conferences, which is 100% right. We can just judge on what we've seen so far, and it looks as if he's got that kind of steely determination, which I like, which I think you need that as a Rangers manager. I think that obviously Kerr spoke about that kind of aura, which all our great managers have had that. So hopefully, if that's going to be the case and moving forward, and he brings that to the team, then we'll be in a very, very good place. But I like, as the saying goes, I like the cut of his jib. I really do.
Chris, thank you for your points, mate. That were great for the chaps, and call again next time. Great to have you on, mate. Right, thank you for the first call. If anyone else wants to get their point across, and obviously and put a point to the chaps, 01416287237. Martin is sat there in the background looking very glum at the moment, and obviously wants people to speak to. So please get your calls in, and whatever you want to talk about with tomorrow's game, the manager, thoughts for the rest of the season, players maybe that can come in January. Give us a call, and we will talk about it. Scott, back to you. I'm trying to remember who I was last on there. One thing that I was thinking about earlier, with obviously the manager coming in, we do know that the manager is going to be stuck until January with the squad that he's got. From January, I know obviously one of the players out on loan, we do have an option to bring back in Alex Lowry. Would you think that might be an option the manager might look at, or maybe, I don't know if there is a link with Hadji, whether he can come back? Do you think the manager will give those two a shot if there is a chance he can get them back in January?
I think it just depends on how the players perform between now and then, how they two perform as well between now and then, and also if he's got any funds to spend in January and if he can get anybody out the door. So there's a lot of different ifs and buts, but I think the players here just now, because he can't spend and because there's still some injured, he's going to give these guys a chance. Every manager comes in the door, doesn't matter what manager, I all think they can make the players play better, because you're a football manager, you think that automatically. Some won't, some will, as we all knew with the recruitments in the summer we made. We all knew everybody was going to be a success, but we didn't think it would be as bad as what it is up to now. So some of these players might end up turning good, some might not, and some might have to try and sell them on. But it's just between now and January comes, and then we'll see what happens. Lowry, to me, I think he's going to stay at Hearts for the rest of the season. Hadji, depending on how he's playing, if Hadji's playing really well, he might not want to come back either. But I would bring Hadji back because I like Hadji. So it's just a personal opinion. I think Hadji can offer something that some of the players on our team don't have. But listen, it just depends how we go between now and then. There's a lot of important games coming up, and between now and the window opening, so we'll have to take it game by game. He'll take it game by game, and he'll see what the players offer him. Obviously, people say a new manager bounce. Stephen Davis never get that, did he? Against Aris, so he never get a new manager bounce. So, listen, it's up to these guys. At the end of the day, I don't think they're as bad of footballers as some of them are showing at the moment. Listen, I'm not saying they're all great football players, but I think they're better than what they're showing. But if that's enough, I don't know if that'll be enough for the manager. I think he will have his own ideas what he wants further down the line. But at this moment in time, he's going to have to try and get the best out of the guys we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the manager is kind of stuck, and he kind of, I've mentioned this to a group chat that I'm on, that the manager needs to sort of give a few of them a cuddle, in a way, because I think the way some of them are performing, I don't foresee a boot at the backside working, and that didn't go down very well. But Mark, do you, I'm trying to think the best way to say it, do you see any way back, maybe potentially for an Alex Lowry in January, if that option is there, or will it depend on how he's performing and how the rest of the team are performing?
No, I think it's more beneficial for Lowry to stay there for the season. I think that if he kicks on and has a really, really good season, he comes back to Rangers, he's got a season under his belt at one of Scotland's top clubs. He sees what it's like, the grass on the other side. He hopefully can come back and kick on. So, I mean, that for me is ideal, rather than you only bring him back if he's going to play. I don't think, as it stands at the moment, he will play. So, for me, it's more detrimental to bring him back. I would leave him, let him kick on, let him evolve and grow as a young pro. He seems to be doing well there. He seems to be enjoying it. and they seem to think a lot of him. So for me, that's probably the best place he can be at the moment. As I said, if it's going well, if it turns into an absolute disaster, then yeah, bring him back. But as it stands at the minute, it seems as if it's working well. And generally, you cannot say that that usual loan spells do turn out that great. So it's just a testament to the young boy and how good a player is, and how much of a talent he is, that he's went to one of Scotland's top sides, and he's doing well. He's doing well, and by all accounts, Naismith thinks he's working hard in training, and that he's obviously performing and producing the goods. So long may that continue. As I said, that I would keep him for the season, keep him at Hearts, let him develop. It's probably the only way forward for a young man.
Yeah, guys, as we put at the bottom, if you want to get your point across to Mark and Kate, please get some calls in 0141 628 7237. I've never seen Martin looking so glum, and I want to cheer Martin up and get some phone calls in. Kate, one thing that we have seen this week, and one of the young players who has come on in the last couple of games, Ross McCausland, potentially getting a new deal, reported by Fabrizio Romano. I think that's quite a good move for the club, and potentially also Ross. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was happy with Ross got offered a new deal. I think he deserves it. I think he's come in and he's looked the part. He's playing with no fear. He's enjoying himself, and he's adding something we didn't have. Somebody who's willing to do a trick or two, as they would say. But he does. He plays the ball around the corners. He's always waiting for a turn. He tries to get by players. He tries to play an early ball as well into the box. He's not one of these guys that wants to go back the way. And I'm happy to see Ross involved, because I think he can make a difference. I think Bailey Rice should be involved more as well. I think young Bailey can make a great difference to the Rangers side. I think he's ready. I think he plays without fear. And I know it's hard to bring in too many young people, but I think they're too ready for the step up. I know Lowry was always mentioned that, but Alec had issues with injury and issues with personal stuff. So I think that detailed him a bit, and I think the Hearts move will help him. But I think Ross is waited long enough, and I think he's looked good when he's come in. I just think Bailey Rice is different for the rest of them. I think he's a mark above all these guys. I think he's ready to step in when needed. I think Bailey's that good.
Yeah, Mark, the manager, obviously in the last couple of days has brought in his new assistant. I know it was sort of mooted earlier in the week. Obviously the chap that's worked with him in the past. No, I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about the assistant manager, but my feeling is if the manager Clement seems to trust this guy as much as he does, then it can only be a good thing for him. And obviously, there's also been rumours about he's looking to bring in somebody into the coaching staff, whether that be a Steve Davis, but someone with an affinity to the club and obviously the knowledge of Scottish football.
Yeah, just on the young boy McCausland, I think that he's a great talent. I think that I'm over the moon that he's looking to sign a new contract and stuff like that. This is what we should be doing. We should be tying these young talents down, and starting to blood them. For me, he didn't look out of place against St Mirren when he came on. He done really well. He done himself no harm at all. Only thing, Kerr said that he looked good. That haircut, I don't think he looked good. That's wild. I don't know what's going on there. Somebody's needing to have a word with him.
You're just jealous, Mark.
No.
You're just jealous.
I wish I'd half it, but no, in all seriousness, I'm happy about that. The new assistant coach. I don't really know much about him, although I have actually seen him play live at Ibrox, which I didn't know. They showed a wee clip at a European game at Ibrox, and obviously I was at the game, so I have seen him live, but I couldn't tell you who he was or anything about him. But apparently he's had a decent career, Belgian international. By all accounts, he's very good at man management. He's a good sounding board for the manager. They're good pals. They know each other pretty well as well. So, as I said, that's part of that team that he's looking to. Obviously, somebody he trusts, he knows and trusts. Has had a wee bit of a obscure kind of career as a coach. He's been to, like, I think it was Macedonia and I think it's a Middle East somewhere, and what was the other place that he said as well? India, I think, as well, which is a bit bizarre. But look, if he's good and he knows his stuff, I'm not really caring where he's been. So for me, as I said, you always need a sidekick. You always need somebody that knows you, a friend to lean on to say, was that right? Was it not right? And obviously this has been talked about before about bringing a kind of Rangers man or somebody that knows the league and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it can be advantageous. I think that it's definitely something that I feel would help and would work, and hopefully as that kind of link between the squad and the management. So I think probably Davis and Ray, that seen them in the training videos today, all getting on great, all working well together as well. So I don't think it will do any harm. I don't think it's essential, but I think that it's something that definitely I think if you get that kind of help, know the club, know the standards, know what the fans think, know that kind of I've got that kind of traditions running through them. I think that it will always help. So I'm all for it. Yeah, definitely. Whether it be Davis, Ray, Thompson, whoever. I mean, I've even heard McCann's name getting mentioned as well. So I think it's not a bad idea. I don't think it's going to be the be all and end all of his career as manager at Rangers, but it's definitely worth a shout. It's not going to make it any worse than it's been in the last season and a half. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. Again, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, anything you want to get to the boys on the pod tonight, 0141 628 7237. Martin is ready and waiting to get you through to the chaps. Anything at all you want to talk about, we will cover it off.
Just to say, Craig, see when you talk about an ex-Rangers player, all the same names that gets mentioned, isn't it? Kevin Thompson, Neil McCann. I know Davis is in there now because obviously he took over. Ray's there, Stephen Smith's there. And the other guys always get mentioned, like obviously Barry Ferguson name always get put in the equation. I don't have Barry Ferguson back at a club, I think, he'd be a bad influence, more than a good influence. But one guy who never gets mentioned, and Martin will probably jump for joy when I mention his name, is David Robertson. David Robertson's got a really good coaching ethics. He's got all his badges. I know he's been in India and stuff like that, but he's done a wee bit of coaching up here as well. And why she never mentioned? Because he's done more coaching than a lot of these other guys put together. Why something like that, who's actually a coach, never get mentioned? But mentioning guys who maybe are on Rangers TV every so often, so they get mentioned, but you never mention guys who are actually proper coaches. I just find that fascinating.
I've never seen Martin so happy at the mention of David Robertson's name. It was like made my day. 0141 628 7237, guys. Get your calls in, and we will get you through to the chaps, and you can put your point across. I think there might be one call ready to come through, but I'll keep on going for the time being. Kerr, I will come back to you. Obviously tomorrow, big game for the manager. Obviously first one. At Ibrox, he did seem to talk about whether this was maybe where Monaco really wasn't a good fit for him. He did talk about the atmosphere, and he's really looking forward to being in front of a big crowd. I get the impression, I don't know if you would agree, I get the impression that's something that maybe the manager will thrive on.
Of course, he already mentioned that, didn't he? Say that Monaco, there wasn't a lot of crowd, there wasn't a lot of passion, but Rangers are totally different. And I think we have to get behind the players. Listen, there'll be a lot of these guys in this team, no matter we're going to win and run, there'll be a lot of fans saying, one bad game, we're going to start booing again, Tab being the usual name, maybe Dessers as well, but we have to get behind them between now and when we can make changes. There's no point going to games and sitting waiting something bad happening so you can criticise. If you want to do that, then criticise for the couch. But listen, he's an experienced coach. You'll know the team has got to, you know the guys who he's got to put in. Listen, I hope Amore starts for a couple. I hope McCausland maybe comes on or starts and semi Baylor Rice. I think we'll start with Daniil up top. I think we have to play a striker. And I'm looking forward to see where we go. I know he's only a few days, but like Mark said earlier, even if we can just get them, I'm not saying playing different, it's not going to, with the weather and that just now, it's not going to be a great football match, but even if the desire's different, because Hibs are not playing that bad at the moment, they get a wee bounce for their new manager coming in, so it'll be a difficult game, but with the players we've got, we should still win. But I'm just hoping we see even a different type of mentality for the players. We more desire. Listen, we're going to still get the same thing. Maybe Bonner turning back every so often. Passes going adrift, but even if the desire's there, that's the problem with the Rangers team this season. They lacked that, especially when we went behind in games last season. We all seem to dig ourselves out a hole, even if we weren't playing great. But this season we never. That's why we lost 3 games at home. I lost 2 games this season out of 7 because as soon as we went behind in the game, we had no desire to get back into it. We just lacked something. You've seen it in Limassol as well. The desire wasn't there until it became too late. So he's only been in the door a few days. I'm looking to see what he's installed so far. But it's early days, manager. Like, when I heard Barry Ferguson saying it's a win, he has to win the game. To me, I hope we win the game. But even if we don't, it's too early to criticise the manager. He needs time, especially these guys, because their confidence is on the ground with the last manager. So it'll be interesting to see the response they give.
Absolutely. We've got another call coming through from John, who wants to talk about the media. John, welcome to the Rangers Rabble. What's your point for the chaps?
All right, guys, how are you doing?
All good, thank you. How are you?
It was just a point. We were talking about the media and obviously the press conference earlier, and a particular Raman Bardwaj, whose questions, if that, oh, come on, that was an absolute joke that he came away. It was goading. It was practically trying to goad our manager into saying something. He'd be as well as wearing a clown outfit with green and grey hoops on underneath it. It was just ridiculous. That's no journalism. No way. No chance. Asking our manager about social media, I was actually impressed with the way Clement just batted it back and says, look, it's social media, that's the world we live in nowadays. But come on, that's no journalism. No chance.
No.
What do you think
Thank
about
you, John.
that, guys?
I'll take that point to you, Mark. We spoke off air about the manager obviously having his response. What were your feelings on some of the questions you got today?
Yeah, I think some of them were embarrassing. I think that if you're a member of the press, I think there's got to have been some people sniggering in there at these kind of stupid questions. Love the fact that he just batted it away. Just kind of obviously, like, it was a case of you need to get up a wee bit earlier than that. That's awful. That's terrible, and made him look silly. And he done it in a clever way where he didn't belittle him. He didn't harangue him and kind of try and put him down or make himself look. He just kind of literally just kind of laughed and said, "Look, this is the world we live in." So for me, it's quite clever, quite cute. I liked it. I thought that they just embarrassed it. The other one as well, when he got on the unveiling press conference in the Blue Room, same as well, about asking him about the attacks in Belgium and the shootings in Belgium and stuff like that. I mean, talk about trying to put a man on the spot. I mean, he's there to talk about football, and he's just kind of tried to fling that one in just to try and knock him off his kilt. A wee bit naughty as far as I'm concerned, but it's just trying to make himself relevant. And we know that there's a few other ones in the media that try and do that as well. We'll not mention any names, but yeah, it's getting a little bit embarrassing. But the beauty of it is, I think that he's well up for it. I think he's as the saying goes in Glasgow, he's triple wide to it. So I think that he knows that that's coming, and I think, as I said, they need to get up a little bit earlier than that to try and get one over on them.
Yeah, definitely. John, I think you've got another point for the chaps, which I'm happy to take to care.
I've got another couple of points. In fact, I watched the interview with the assistant manager, and that's a new for me because it took me to about 2 weeks before Beale got sacked to actually realise who our assistant manager was, because I didn't know him. And he said when he first met Clement was the under-21 manager at Bruges in 2011, and Clement then went on to be the defensive coach for the first team at Bruges before he took over the full management. And that could only be a good thing, because come on, Their defence is it's honking, basically. So hopefully he'll sort that out. And yes, my final point was the Rangers connection. We've heard all these names and what have you. I'd like to put one name forward for that. Kenny Miller.
Okay,
that's my final point, guys. I'll leave you with that. Thanks very much for taking my call.
Thank you, John. I'll put that point across to you, Kerr. John, call again. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Listen, Kenny Miller's an iron name. I've heard myself. I don't know what his coaching badge are like. I know he's done a wee bit, but like I said earlier, my shout is David Robertson. I think he's above them all. And if it was David Robertson, I'll go Lee McCulloch, who's actually been involved in a football side at Hearts and Kilmarnock. So that's the two I would pick. I know there's others out there, but they two have got a bit of experience. On the questions in the media, I just think it's the best of Scotland. The best of Scotland, you're going to get nonsense because it's a case of like, we'll say something to the Rangers manager to see how they react, or we'll say something to the manager to see how Rangers react. It's just the way the rest of Scotland is. I'm afraid you don't get to ask the questions anywhere else. You might get asked stupid questions, like Mark mentioned about, like I know Club got asked a question before about some terrorist thing and he didn't want to answer it. But I think like the questions about Todd Cantwell and Chris Sutton, I think that's just the rest of Scotland thing. Let's make this relevant. When it isn't relevant, Todd's went through a hard time and Chris Sutton's just talks nonsense. So I would just wouldn't even bother about that. But no, like I said earlier, listen, we're all impressed with what he's done so far since he's come in the door, Clement. But it's all about winning games. We can all be impressed with pressers. We can all be impressed with how he speaks. Listen, he's 6'3", so wouldn't mess him either. But it's winning the games. He has to win games. That's what he has to do. End of the day, he can talk great. He can look great. He can be a big, massive influence. But it has to win matches because every Rangers manager, that's what you have to do. So if he can start winning, then I'll be happy with that. And these press conferences, they're great. But I want 3 points every time we play.
Mark, Kenny Miller for you?
Not a chance. Not a chance. No way. Jose. Nah, not for me. Sorry. I think he's more of a media mogul now. He just wants to jump in papers and make comments and this and that. For me, he's no went down that route. He dabbled with it very, very briefly just before he kind of finished his playing career, or just after he finished his playing career. No, for me, he's not for me. Let's just say I'll know. Start using bad language, but no, it's definitely not for me. I'm sorry, but that's nah. Sorry, I'll just leave it at that. No, not for me.
Yeah, great couple of points from John and a great call. If you want to get your points to the guys, we've got time for a couple more calls. 0141 628 7237. And we'll get you through to the guys and you can get your point across. If you've got other names outside of Kenny Miller and all the other usual suspects that have been named, get through and have you chat with the guys. So we'll do a little bit of a preview for tomorrow's game. Obviously, we're waiting for calls to come through. Hibs at home. I don't say there's ever an easy game, but it's definitely not one that we would want for the first manager. Kerr, apart from the obvious of winning the match, what do you hope to see for tomorrow's game?
I don't think there'll be a lot of changes added in the way we play. I think it's going to be similar to the way we play, just a bit more desire, like I said, and heads not going down as quickly. Do you know what I mean? And just look like they want to play football. Start enjoying themselves. They don't seem to be enjoying themselves. If you don't enjoy yourself doing something, there's no point in doing it. And even some of the players look like they don't want to be there in Rabble. So I'm hoping that may change, but I'm hoping we get 3 points. I'm hoping a couple of young players play, and I'm hoping Danilo plays and scores. And listen, I know Big Dessers has a bit of criticism. He's had it for me as well, but I'd like to see him scoring if he figures at all. So, but at the end of the day, Craig, I just want to win. And the manager needs a win to get started, and we need a win as well, just as fans, because we always want to win, but we need another victory. So just to keep us going forward, that's what I want. A win.
Can I just jump in there, Craig?
Yeah.
The manager said it. He's looking for people to be brave in the ball. For for me, that's massive. That's the biggest thing, because you look at this side, especially this season, nobody's been in brave enough to take the ball and try and do something with it. It's always been a safe pass, and I think that probably the manager alluded to that a wee bit in his press conferences. Um, I'm trying to remember the actual quote that he said regarding. I think it was not afraid to fail, or words along those lines. So for me, he's 100% right. I mean, he said that he's watched all the games prior this season, all the games prior to him arriving, and for me, that's the biggest takeaway I've got with it. That playing it safe, knocking the ball back, playing it safe, easy ball, rather than somebody trying to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And just what Kerr says as well, that desire, that kind of will to kind of drag a team forward. We've struggled with that massively this season. Nobody's willing to demand the ball and take a game by the scruff of the neck, which is mad, because we get most of our games, we get 75% possession. So for somebody that's not willing, in that amount of possession, it's not willing to take the ball, but the bull by the horns, and kind of drive and make things happen. And for me, that's what's been missing. As I said, that the desire, the kind of tempo as well. Tempo's been abysmal this season, even towards the end of last season as well, under Gio as well. It was that kind of, we talked about a horseshoe, and it was worst one for me is Barisic. For Barisic, I think somebody said midweek, his creation game, that he had I think it's 17 passes and 10 were back the way. So for me, that needs to stop. That's a massive thing, and clearly Clement's noticed that from watching it. Look, you don't need to be a blind man in a bus stop to can realise that. Do you know what I mean? It is chronic to watch sometimes. So for me, that's the big thing that he needs to try and get that out. See if he can stop that. I think that a lot of these players will start playing and start getting better, and all they need is a bit of bravery. That's really all I'm asking for: a bit of bravery and a bit of desire.
Like you said, Mark, see if it's like against it, man. Acozon done it, Lovelace done it. They took a risk. They were willing to go forward. They were willing to make that pass. It might not come off, but they're willing to do it. Whereas the rest of the players are very low in confidence. They're scared to make a mistake. They don't want the fans on their back, so they play safe. And going back is playing safe. Borna, Lundstrom, they play safe because they don't want any stick. So, but with our young guys, one of the Lovelace was taking a taste at mum before he got injured. My cousin was doing the reflex on the side. He was trying to take a risk and pass forward. And that's what you want players to do, take a risk. Because sometimes if it comes off, you're going to get a goal. We've seen it with the goal we scored against it, man. A couple of one touches and moved the ball, and it was a goal. Do you know what I mean? So, we're good players. It's just the confidence is very low. So I'm just wondering, because Beale's away, does that? I'm not saying the confidence comes back straight away, but does it come back to some of them? Were they not enjoying it under Beale? Were they not enjoying what they were told to do? I don't know, because like I said, they're not all bad players. Granted, next season some of them shouldn't be there. Some of them overstayed their welcome, but they're not all bad players. But they need something.
No, that was the point I was going to make around some of these players needing to move on, because I think some of them now have gone past the point of having all that scar tissue about being booed when the ball goes back. Barisic is the prime one for me, where you just know, yes, there might be the argument that there's no one to play the ball to, but you just know he's going to get the fans on his back when he turns inside and plays the ball to Ben Davies or Goldson. We've been joined by the big boss.
Good evening. I'm just double checking that my microphone's okay and it's not doing that mad crackly thing that it usually does. Is it doing it?
Right. Yeah. And he's gone. A quick impromptu jump in. So the last few minutes, we'll go a bit more deep dive into the Hibs game. We'll cover off the team that we probably expect to play, and get your predictions. And then we'll finish up. So Mark, what lineup are you expecting tomorrow? Are you expecting major changes, or sort of can you name most of the lineup now?
I think, to be fair, it's I don't think I'll be a million miles away from what it's been. The only thing that I would suggest as well, I'd talk about, is I watched the training video, and I don't know. Did any of you two watch it? Did you see Ridvan? I never seen Ridvan there, and I hope he's not injured.
No, I think
For me-
Ridvan was in it. I think he was on the bench in the week for Turkey. I think he was in the video. So hopefully he's around tomorrow.
Well, for me, Ridvan is going to be playing left back. Obviously, Butland in goals, Tavernier, Goldson, Davies, Ridvan. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's our strongest. I know that Big Soapy's done well, on and off. Had a couple of good games, bad game, couple of good games, bad game. But for me, I think that Davis brings a kind of balance to the defence, and he's got a beautiful left foot. So for me, that's my back four. Midfield is going to be a tricky one. I think Raskin. I think he'll go with Lundstrom. What I think he'll go with and what I would play is two different things. But I think he'll go with Lundstrom. I think tried and tested. Raskin. I think that that Belgian connection. Hopefully, we'll get a tune out of him. And I've got a funny feeling he'll start Cantwell as well in the centre of the park. I think that'll be the middle three. I think up front he will have Sima. And to be fair, I think it's a toss-up between Danilo and Dessers. But I think he maybe go Dessers, that Belgian connection again. But either or, Danilo or Dessers through the middle. And I would play McCausland in the right. For me, that would be. I mean, if you were looking at, I would start Danilo, definitely start Danilo. But I've got either or, him or Dessers is going to play, and you maybe see a cameo from Roof. So we'll see. That's who I think.
Any difference from you, Scott?
No, really, he's not got a lot to play with. I think Shooter might come in for the start. I'd like to see Bailey Rice play instead of Cantwell. I don't think Cantwell will start. And I think Dessers will play. I don't think Danilo will start, but I think Danilo and Cantwell will come on. I hope McCausland does start, Mark. I hope you're right, because I think he deserves a start. Just annoying that Big Lovelace isn't fat enough to start, because I think he done really well against it, and he was probably due another game up top because the boy didn't look at a press at all.
I just jump in there on Lovelace. I thought Lovelace was outstanding. I thought that Lovelace was a breath of fresh air, and I was absolutely gutted that that boy got injured. I've got a good pal that's a Millwall fan, a mad mental Millwall fan, and he's been raving about Lovelace since he left to come to us. And yeah, as I said, I was absolutely gutted because that boy, for me, he looked as if he'd been in the team for years. He really did. He looked that good. So gutted that he's sorry for butting in, Kerr.
No, but the reason that he looked that way, Mark, is because the boy played with no fear.
Yeah.
One of him,
100%,
McCausland, young players. That's why they say, look, you can't have a team full of young players, but if you've got a sprinkling of them in there, they play with no fear. They just want to play football. But the reason that I jumped on, by the way, was to put a point to Kerr, because I agree with you, Kerr, right, in terms of we won't see mass amount of change tomorrow. But I wanted you to go a wee bit more in depth on that. Are you talking, because the manager said he's watched every game since the start of the season, etc., etc. So by change, do you mean a playing philosophy, or do you mean the players that we'll see? Because surely if that manager's been watching what we've been watching, then there's got to be a few changes in that starting lineup.
Probably a bit of both, Martin, but I think it's too early to come in and just make a full amount of change. I might make one or two tweaks, but I don't think he'll start to make that many until he sees who he can really trust and sees who he can't. Listen, he'll probably have made his mind up about some players, but like I said earlier, you'll not tell him that now because he can't. Because if he said to Tava Golson, listen, I'm going to try and get the in January, but the summer years are away. They've got a big influence in that dressing room. They could turn the tide very easily on the manager.
I don't think he'll care about that. I genuinely don't think he'll care about
but
that.
If you've got players on their side, you see what happened when like Gwen came in. I'm not trying to say, but you've seen the difference when players have got pals in the dressing room and they turn the tide against the manager. So I think he'll be clever and he'll get everybody on his side. That's how Tav sat in the press conference. Listen, I don't think we'll say that to Tav. I think Tav will be there until the end of the season. But you'll know players that you can't trust, but he knows he'll have to use players because we've got injuries. And I think some of the players who would probably start are probably only fit enough to start or are still not available. Listen, he'll take his time, Martin. I think he's going to fix it very quickly, but I think over the next coming games, probably half a dozen games, you'll see us slightly different attacking wise. He likes possession football, doesn't he? He likes us to take risks. He likes us to set up and not concede any goals, which would be good if he could do that. And he likes us to be dominant in games and physical, which sometimes we're neither. So, but I don't think he'll chuck any players under the bus at this moment in time. He's just in the door, and I think if he knows he's got money to spend and there's other teams maybe going to take a couple off our hands, I think he might say you and you're away, or bring these other guys in. But at this moment in time, he's not going to do this that early. He's just in the door.
No, he's going to stick with the players that obviously he's stuck with until January, and there's no point putting those players out to pasture if he can't bring any new players in for the next few weeks at least, if not till the summer. So he's kind of stuck, but I think the manager gets that. I think he got that from the minute he walked in the door. Otherwise, you won't be taking the job. So before we finish up, phone lines closed. Thank you to those who called and contributed. Quick predictions for tomorrow: score and first goal scorer. I'll start with Mark.
Predictions tomorrow: 3-1. First goal scorer, McCausland.
A nice shout. And Kerr?
I'm going 2-0 Rangers, and first goal scorer, I'm going Miraskin.
And Martin? I know you don't normally do this.
No. See, before I come to that, right, I want to stay a wee bit more on this, the amount of changes that he'll make to that team. And Craig, I'll ask you then, since you've been hosting. And by the way, lovely job hosting. I know that I know it's something you were a wee bit nervous about, but you've done absolutely brilliantly. So I'll come to you then. We kind of just look the same kind of question. If he's watched not every minute of every game, but if he's watched a lot of these games, and look, Roof's been out injured. We have had Danilo out injured. We've not had a massive amount of numbers, right? I completely get that. But if you were coming into that job and you had watched what you had watched, does Dessers get anywhere near that team? Does Lundstrom get anywhere near that team?
They shouldn't, but I think they will, because he's kind of stuck with what he's got to work with. The only change I can potentially foresee happening, and it's a bit of a bold change, is maybe him going free at the back. That's the only thing I could potentially see him doing, at least initially, because I think he will if he's watched every game of this season, he's a glutton for punishment with some of them. Maybe he'll see a weakness there with the back four that a back three might fix.
And I suppose, by the way, sorry to just jump in, because I know that somebody on follow had a go at me for just jumping into podcasts. But Mark, if we see a better performance tomorrow, right, can we put that? See, we go out and we win 3 or 4-0 tomorrow. We control the game for 90 minutes, and we look like a completely different team, right? I don't think that'll happen. But see if that does happen, or we just see a much better performance. Do we put that down to the fact that we've got a new manager? Do we put that down to the fact that the players are now actually trying their arses off? And if that's the case, do we get angry?
I know I put it down to the fact that Clement really is Harry Potter. Because that's a fucking miracle. I know, I get your point. I get your point. For me, yes, I'll probably say yes to all of those points. I think that yes, we put it down to having a new manager. I think yes, we get angry because but I think that we should be angry anyway, and I think that's half the reason that we're angry, because I don't think, like Kerr says, I don't think that these players are all fucking hopeless. I think that there's decent players in there. You can't know be a professional footballer and go to some of the clubs that these boys have been to, playing in Serie A, playing in fucking Holland, playing in Belgium, and all of a sudden come to Rangers and be nobody able to kick your ass. So there's something no right. Something doesn't smell right, as the saying goes. So something's not right, and maybe that's the case. Maybe it's the man management side of things. Maybe they just need, like somebody said earlier, need a cuddle. Some maybe need a kick up the arse. Some, as I said, I don't know, but yeah, we should be angry. I think that part of our anger is that we've brought these players in with great expectations. We've spent decent money on them, and we're angry because they're not performing the way they should be performing. And Kerr said it as well. not all of these players are going to hit the ground running. Sometimes it's a good fit, sometimes it's not a good fit. But as I said, they don't all of a sudden become bad players. As I say, you don't play in Serie A, you don't play in Holland, you don't play for PSV and all these teams if you're chronic. So for me, there was something wrong behind the scenes, whether it be training, whether it be man management, whether it be fitness. And for me, that's Clement's job, and he's alluded to it in his press conference. He said there's things that they're doing right, and there's things that they're completely doing wrong. So he said it himself. He said that he's going to need to come in there and try and fix. He's not obviously come out and said the words "fix what's broken," but that's kind of what he's alluded to. He's alluded to the fact that he's seen that these boys are decent players. I mean, he must know a good player when he sees one. And obviously he said previous with Dessers and Raskin and so probably even Roof was in Belgium for a few years, so obviously knows that these boys aren't as pish as what they're showing at the minute. So as I said, for me, that's his job as it stands from now to January, is to try and get a tune out of these boys. It's plain and simple.
Right, well, I'll give you my prediction then, Craig, with all that being said. 4-0 Rangers, Desser's hat-trick. That's going to be my prediction. And I'll save you this as well, Craig, right, because I know you're about to do the outro. Follow, subscribe on all socials and on YouTube as well. We are racing towards 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. We've just started up Twitch. I think we get about 2 views a show over on Twitch. So if you're on that platform, just search Rangers Rabble podcast and hit follow or subscribe. I've not really worked that out yet. And we will be back tomorrow at 2:15 for build up to the Hibs game, and we will have reaction. And Craig, I will let you finish the show.
Yeah, thank you to Mark, to Martin for all his work behind the scenes and then jumping in at the last second, and also to Care. As Martin said, we'll be back tomorrow with pre-match and post-match build-up, and then we'll be back on Sunday with Rabble Sundays. Hope you all have a good weekend, and we'll hopefully see you soon later on. Thank you.